Hello, guys. So this is the topic of meiosis. This is going to be a little bit confusing because the terms mitosis and meiosis kind of sound similar. So if you see here, there are two types of division. We already talked about the first one, which was mitosis. We talked about it at the end of last semester. And then today we're going to start introducing meiosis, okay? And then I'm going to go into details about what the difference is for each one. What you need to copy is going to be on the color red. So copy whatever's on red, please. Here we go. So these are the two things you need to know by the end of today. So number one, you should be able to say, oh, I can explain the difference between mitosis and meiosis. So in your head, you'll be like, oh, the difference between mitosis and the difference between meiosis is, whatever, what we're going to be learning. And then number two, it says, I can describe the final number of chromosomes on each type of cell division. So basically, you're going to have to tell me how many chromosomes you find in mitosis and then how many you find in meiosis. Okay, and it's actually really easy. I'm going to give you like a formula and you just plug in the number and then you get it. So, quick review. What is a chromosome? Well, I'm going to give you a sentence stem here. Chromosomes are made out of what? A chromosome is that X shape. That remember that it's like this, and then it's like into X's. That's DNA. So chromosomes are made out of DNA. Hold on, don't copy this yet. Let me give you the answers, and then you can copy. Now it says how many cells are produced at the end of mitosis. So you start with one cell, and then goes to the cycle, and then you end up with two, right? So at the end you end up with two. So that's for mitosis. Now it says, the next one says, what is the purpose of the cell cycle in an organism? And now this is very important. We talked about it last time, but you need to remember this. So the purpose of the cell cycle is to help an organism do what? And I use my example. I use it a lot. If I get a cut, I'm going to heal. How is it going to heal? Because of mitosis, and my body's going to make copies of those cells, right? So the purpose of the cell cycle is to grow and repair, right? So when I say grow, right, when you were little, you started making more cells, you started getting taller and all that stuff. And then repair, like I just explained, when you get a cut, you heal. Go ahead and pause the video, copy this if you haven't finished copying them. Okay, let's move on. Now, I know this is a lot to write. Go ahead and pause the video, copy everything down, then I'm explaining. Then I'll explain. Okay, so it says new vocabulary. So the words somatic right here on the top, and this is the word gamete. You definitely, from now on, you definitely need to know them. Okay, so what is a somatic cell? Somatic, it means body cell. So literally it's going to be every cell in your body is going to be a somatic cell. Some examples here are going to be heart, bone, skin, muscle. I can say eye, I can say, fingers, whatever. Any type of cells in your body are going to be somatic. Now, what you need to know about somatic cells for the purposes of this is that they're going to be represented by 2N. So the N is going to be like an X, okay? It's like a little formula I'm going to teach you. 2N is just going to be twice whatever number N represents, because they have two sets of chromosomes, right? So somatic has 2N, two sets of chromosomes. Now this, the process, the cell division that makes somatic cells is called mitosis. This is the one that we talked about. You know, when I told you about my cut, when I get a cut and it heals, it's making cells that have two sets. It has 2N. That's because it's skin, right? It's part of my body. And it's going to make new cells, new skin. That's the process of mitosis. Now, this number is going to be important for you to memorize it, of course. But you should always also know that there's like a formula, right? So in humans, and again, in humans, N equals 23. So remember how I said it was 2N? So that means that 2N equals 46, right? It's like me saying 2X. If X is 23, how much is 1X? I'm sorry. If X equals 23, how much is 2X? 46. You just multiply it times 2. That's it. So everything that I just explained, that's for human body cells. Now let's talk about gamete. This is the other word on the right. A gamete, these are going to be sex cells. So this is kind of like the exception to what I just said about earlier. You know how to every single cell in your body? Well, except for this one. Now, if you're a male, if you're a guy, you're going to have sperm. If you're a female, right, you're a girl, you're going to have eggs. So the difference between a somatic and a gamete is that these two are half of what this looks like. So gametes are represented by the letter N because they only have one set, each chromosome. These are the cells that are being created by meiosis, okay? Meiosis. So in humans, N equals 23, right? I gave you that information earlier. So that means that a sperm cell is going to have only 3 because it only has N. But my body is going to have, the rest of my body is going to have 2N, which is 46. We're going to practice a little bit more. Just remember, somatic is the body, cells, and it has 2N. Gamete, it's sex cells, which are going to be either the sperm or the egg, depending on your gender, and then it's going to have 1N. So again, some examples here. Somatic is going to be like everything in your body, and then the gamete is going to be either the sperm or the egg, whichever your gender is. Go ahead and pause the video, copy this. Okay, something else that is important that you need to understand. For mitosis, right? Mitosis, you start with a full set of each parent. So you start with 2N, and then it's going to divide into 2. And at the end, you're going to have 2 of them that each one has 46 because they're copies. This one and this one are exactly the same. So it says here, the cell divides once, resulting in 2 daughter cells. And each one of those cells is going to have 46 chromosomes. So humans have 46 in each body cell. I already mentioned that. And I mentioned it again because it's important. So you start with 1, and then divides into 2. This one has 46, this one has 46 because they're copies. Now, in meiosis, you start with the full set of each parent, but the cell divides twice, resulting in 4 dotted cells. I know it's going to be confusing. After meiosis, the sex cells only have 23. So, in meiosis, and I'm going to show you some pictures in a second, you start with 1 cell, and it's going to divide. Okay, now you're here on the same as mitosis, but it's going to divide again. So it divides, and you end up with 4, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. So since you divide it twice, right, 2 divisions, like first division, second division, you're going to have half. In mitosis, you have the same amount because it's a copy. So let me show you a picture so you know what I'm talking about. Okay, guys, so here we have the pictures that I was telling you about. Let's talk about mitosis first. So in mitosis, you start with 2N, right? Which in this case, in humans, is going to be the number 46. Because in humans, 1N equals 23. So 2 times 23 or 23 times 2 is 46. Now the cell is going to double. It's going to make more, and then it's going to cut in half. So when you divide 92 in half, you end up with 2N again, because they're copies of each other, 46 and 46. Now let's talk about meiosis, and you're going to see how this is different. It starts the same way. 46, that's 2N. It doubles up, okay? Then it divides in half, so that's 1 division, that's the first division. Then it's going to divide again, but it's not going to multiply like it did before. It's just going to divide right away. So now you have half, right? You're going to have N, 4 N's, right? N plus N plus N plus N. It's 23, 23, 23, 23. Go ahead and copy these numbers down. But this is going to be super important. You start with 46, doubles up, then divides. You end up with 46. That's mitosis. Meiosis, you start with 46, doubles up, divides. So you have 2 cells of 46. Here, we're pretty much the same. But then you divide it again. So that 46 is going to be divided. Now, tomorrow I'm going to talk about why this is important. For today, I just pretty much need you to know the difference between the names and the processes, right? And let's move on. So check for understanding questions. Excuse me. Let's move down. Normally, if we were in the classroom, I will ask one of you to answer this question. But I'm going to give you some time to think, and you're going to give me a thumbs up or thumbs down depending on the video on the bottom, little emoji or whatever. Now, this cell that right here, the 46, is that N or 2N? Okay, the answer is 2N, right? Because I told you 1N equals 23, 2N equals 46. Now, are those somatic or gamete? It's a little bit tougher. But remember, somatic are 2N, and then gametes are just N. So since we said that this is 2N, then therefore, this is somatic, right? 2N, somatic. Now, let's talk about meiosis. Let's talk about this cell right here, the last one, the bottom. Is that N or 2N? It's 23. So it's just N. Okay, give me a thumbs up or thumbs down if you got it. Now, are these cells somatic or gametes? If the ones that are N, are they called somatic or gametes? The answer is gametes. If you got those, give me a thumbs up. Okay, let's move on to the next thing. There are gonna be pictures, and you're gonna be answering if it's somatic or, mitosis or meiosis, right? Because remember, somatic is gonna be mitosis, right? That's the body cells, and then meiosis is gonna be the sex cells. Ready? Heart, is that your body cell or sex cell? Right? Body cell, that's called somatic. Give me a thumbs up. Skin, body cell or sex cell? Body, which means somatic, which is the process of mitosis. Oh, that's the egg of the female. Should be easy. Eggs is a sex cell, which is a gamete. Gametes are meiosis. It's a person running. You can see their muscles, their tissues, their skeleton. It's part of their body. Body is somatic. Somatic is mitosis. Here we have a sperm cell. That's a sex cell, which is a gamete, which is meiosis. Here we have toes, somebody's toes. Listen to this. Here you have mitosis. So this is gonna help you remember. If you remember, oh, my toes, that's part of your body. Mitosis is for part of my body, right? Mitosis. And then on this side we have, do you guys know what this little guy is called from this movie? Mini-me. Mini-meiosis, right? Mini-me is meiosis. Why? Because you're making a baby. When you make a baby, you have to use a sperm or egg, and that's going to help you make a little baby that hopefully looks like you or your wife, right? Or husband, whichever your gender. Okay. Now, your job is to actually go ahead and answer this question. So, if a dog has 20 chromosomes in its skin, is the skin somatic or gamete? Skin is part of the body, so the answer should be somatic. Now, I'm not going to answer all these with you. They're not gonna pop up, so you need to write them. So if the skin somatic, yes, it is. Gametes is sex cells. How many are in the sperm? How many chromosomes in the sperm? Well, remember, sperm is a N, and then skin is 2N, so you have to give me half. The answer for this one should be 10. Right? Now, how many in the heart? In the heart, the heart is a body cell, somatic. So the answer is 20. How many in the somatic cells? 20. Now, how many in haploid? Careful. This is a new word. Now, you see how I said it? Haploid, half. So which ones are the half? Just N by itself, N. So N will be 10, right? That's the half of 20. How many in gametes? Well, you need to remember that gametes are the ones that are sex cells, which are the half ones. That will be 10 again. And then muscle, that will be like skin, body, bone. So that's the whole 20. Okay? If you have issues, make sure you ask me so I can explain it to you. Okay? And now I want you to do the rest for this one. Do not leave it blank. Do this by yourself. Okay? Thank you.